Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today, Blood Angels Week begins. And where better to kick off than with the Lord of Angels himself, Dante. As today we discuss the struggle and sacrifice he must endure. Spoiler warning to begin, as the events we are discussing today are from the Warhammer 40k novel Darkness in the Blood by Guy Haley. As always, I really recommend you read the novel for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, we help to support the great Games Workshop and Black Library, because without them we don't have this amazing lore to talk about. I'll put a link in the description as always. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Okay, so Darkness in the Blood is the latest installment in the Dante and Blood Angels series of novels by Guy Haley, being the sequel to the amazing Devastation of Baal. And as you guys know, the Dante series of novels to me are without doubt one of the best storylines going. Guy Haley has truly delivered a story and characterization of Dante worthy of such a legendary character. I liked the Blood Angels before it, but I didn't love them. I do now, and it's down to Devastation of Baal. Now, when we last saw Dante at the end of that storyline, Baal had been saved from destruction at the very last by the arrival of the Indomitus Crusade and the returned Primarch Rabute Guilliman. And Dante himself gave his life in a final epic confrontation, only to be sent back to the land of the living by the spirit of Sanguinius himself. The Angel, the Emperor, and the Imperium still had need for Sanguinius's greatest son. And so not only was his time not over, Dante's greatest burden yet was about to be placed upon his shoulders, being named the Lord Regent of the Imperium Nihilus. Now, we'll go into the current situation of the Blood Angels chapter throughout the week, but today we're focusing on Dante himself, because the truth is, the Lord of Angels is struggling now more than ever. If you missed our talk a few weeks ago about why Mephiston crossed the Rubicon rather than Dante, be sure to go back and give that a watch, because the truth is, Dante wanted to cross the Rubicon, and he still does, because he needs to. When we first see Dante in Darkness in the Blood, he is within his sarcophagus aboard a Blood Angel's vessel, the Blood Caller. And it's quickly revealed that not all is as it should be. Dante has been having to spend more time than ever within its confines, submerged beneath the blood of others, his own, and even the blood of Sanguinius. It's been several months since the climactic battle against Hive Fleet Leviathan, and yet, unbelievably, some of Dante's wounds have still not healed. As any Marine of the Adeptus Astartes, he carries many scars, his gene-enhanced body designed to absorb punishment far beyond that of any mortal human. Yet, for his body to still, after months, not have healed all his wounds is quite simply unheard of. His mind is unbowed and defiant against the dark as ever, but something is undoubtedly wrong within the body of the Lord of Angels. And there's a rather chilling passage of Dante moaning in pain within his sarcophagus. And worse still, Dante's much needed respite is cut short, as a demonic incursion within the fleet means Dante needs to be awoken immediately. And the scene we are given is a sight of the man behind the golden armour, the courage behind the mask of Sanguinius, and quite simply, the human struggling to perform his duty. Dante coughed, spraying his 4 servants with blood. They did not flinch, but continued their ministrations, first wiping his eyes with soft cloths so that he might see, then gently grasping him to raise him from his sarcophagus. Their hands slipped on his blood-slick skin. He tried to shake them off, but he could not rise alone. He trembled, for though the room was warm, he felt intolerably cold. His muscles disobeyed him. He shamed himself with his weakness. He grasped the sides of the sarcophagus. His fingers were numb and would not grip. His left hand slipped free, slapping against his muscled chest and bringing forth a spike of pain from his wounds. This is the true struggle of the greatest living hero within the Imperium. Even with the Primarch once more walking amongst the stars, for Guilliman is a Primarch and he is immortal. And while the Space Marines of the Heresy shared that gift, the degeneration of 10,000 years undeniably means that Dante is not. His body, still immensely muscled and strong, is old. And here, Sanguinius's greatest son is unable to even lift himself out of his sarcophagus, pain assailing him immediately. How could this be the greatest of Sanguinius's lineage? Because even now, with his body clearly failing him, he still finds that determination inside. "Enough," he croaked. He raised his arms one after the other, forcing his servants to release him. He gripped the sides again and pulled himself upright until he stood on unsteady legs. He wavered, but he did not fall. He hawked blood from his lungs and spat it into the sarcophagus's gurgling drains. The iron taste of it stirred the thirst, and his weakness became a lesser concern. "I will stand on my own. Get back from me." The stench of fear begins to rise from his servants, whether due to the sight of their lord drenched in blood, or perhaps for what has become of him, remains unsaid. But Dante tells them to calm themselves, forcing the thought of their pulsing blood out of his mind. There's a small lip the height of Dante's knee at the bottom of his sarcophagus, and it's an effort for Dante to even lift his foot high enough over it. But, having been chapter master for all those centuries, he's become adept at masking his pain, regaining some of his majesty and dignity as he steps out onto the floor. But as he steps forward once more, his leg gives out and he buckles forward to the ground, his servants catching him again, straining under the immense weight. His body may well be dying, but it's still as muscled and large as any Space Marine. Dante's frustration at the situation shows for a moment as he growls enough and shifts his weight to stand by himself again. And this will be an ongoing theme throughout the novel, Dante performing his duty all the while, despite the wounds he hides inside his armour. The extra effort he must expend to continue to fight as the warrior of old. No pun intended. As his servants prepare Dante for his armour, he feasts on wine, fortified with blood. He drains the drinks one after another, slowly regaining his strength, feeling the power return to his body. So it certainly appears Dante is becoming ever more reliant on blood, to use it to overcome the weaknesses of his aging body. In essence, relying on the strength of others to power his own. And yet Dante knows all of this. He knows his time is spent, as is revealed later in conversation with his chief librarian Mephiston. who alone can sense Dante's pain hidden beneath his armour. Mephiston bowed. "May I speak with you honestly, brother commander?" "Always." "I hear your faults. You are considering undergoing the crossing of the Rubicon. I advise you against it." "I am old. I am tired. My wounds from the invasion of Baal are not healing. I need renewal. We have fallen far. Look at me. I am ancient." "You were strong until recently." Light glance from the death mask of Sanguinius. "Until recently. No more. Something is not right within me." He took a troubled breath. "I may be dying. Corbulo will not be honest with me, but I see it in his manner." "One does not need to be a psyker to know Corbulo's faults," said Mephiston. "We all die. Even you." "I cannot die now." Dante held up a gauntleted hand. "My body fails me as the greatest task of all is thrust upon me." "You have taken blood. More than I would wish. Since I broke my long fast, I have needed to drink more, so I have." He became quieter. "But I have also wanted to. The taste, the energy, to see the memories of another man." His hand clenched, stilling the tremor. "It disgusts me, what I am reduced to. Nevertheless, you must not undergo the procedure. It will kill you." "That is my choice," said Dante. Oh, the tease, the tease. How many years must we suffer before we get the new insanely awesome Dante model? Give us Dante. And let's give credit to the amazing job Guy Haley has done and is doing in crafting the character of Dante out. It's the main reason why he is one of my favourite authors. He manages to capture the humanity of the characters so well. Yes, these are all gene-enhanced warriors, but they are still human in their deepest core. And Guy Haley manages to capture that in his stories. Dante, the old-aged hero, who wants nothing more than the peaceful rest he has earned 100 times over. Yet, he is still needed, and so he performs his duty in the name of Sanguinius and the Emperor. It's clear Dante knows his time is running short, and that the only hope he has is trying to cross the Rubicon, to become a Primaris Marine. And hey, no offense Calgar, but if you can do it, then we know Dante can. There's no spirit alive in the Imperium with more resolve than him. But unlike Calgar, Dante has the weight of half the Imperium on his shoulders. Sure, Calgar's the master of the Ultramarines and has the realm of Ultramar, but Guilliman is back, and let's be frank here, Calgar became a second thought ever since Guilliman stepped off of that throne and out of stasis. Yes, it would have been a blow if Calgar passed away, but there's plenty of heroes ready to step up and fill his boots. But Dante has the weight of not only every single Blood Angel and every single successor chapter within Sanguinius' lineage, but half of the Imperium on his shoulders. And it's the half lost amid the darkness at that. The only reason he didn't cross the Rubicon first is because the announcement caused absolute uproar, his chapter outright refusing to risk losing him to death. So it certainly seems to be that Dante will be kept from undergoing the procedure until his death arrives upon the battlefield, and their hand is forced. Which I understand, of course, because Dante is just too important to risk. But for me, I think I would prefer him electing to undergo the procedure himself, rather than yet another "we have no choice" scenario. Obviously, the long-expected storyline is an encounter against Abaddon before the throne of the Emperor, or at least in some symbolic form. But the only problem with that for me is that if Dante hasn't undergone the elevation to Primaris, there's no suspense in the story, because we all know how it will go. A replay of the sacrifice of Sanguinius against Horus, with Dante's death being the outcome. Abaddon is built up to be the big bad of chaos, supposedly an equal threat to Guilliman, which personally I can't really buy because I put the Primarchs on a different level altogether. But overall, that is definitely the story arc. There's no way they would let Dante prevail in that fight. But regardless, Dante intends to show the ruinous powers that the Imperium Nihilus belongs to the Emperor. So let Dante choose to undergo the Rubicon. Show that he is willing to risk everything to make that happen. But as always guys, what do you think? Are you surprised by how much Dante truly suffers? Do you think this is only going to end in his death? And should he cross the Rubicon by his own choice? Or should it happen once he has met that death he is truly fated for? As always, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all tomorrow as Blood Angels Week continues.